Welcome to Rev Up Your Potential with Hilda Gann, the podcast where entrepreneurs, business leaders, and HR professionals share tips, strategies, and trends in their area of expertise. They also talk about their successes and struggles along their career and business journey. If you love to learn through storytelling and find people fascinating, join us. Hilda Gann, welcome back to another episode of Rev Up Your Potential. Today, my host is Claudia Chan, and Claudia is an author and a life coach for Asian women. After working together, her clients build more trust and confidence in themselves to speak firmer, laugh louder, and live freer. Claudia is a proud mom to a 6-year-old boy and the wife to what she likes to say, handsome and supportive husband. She loves to dance tango and salsa. I didn't know that about you, Claudia, so that I'm going to have to get a demo from you later. She's a worldwide traveler and she loves to have fun. She believes that if everyone can live the life they love, this world will be so much better.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for joining us today. And we're launching this podcast during Asian Heritage Month. And so I've invited Claudia to share her story and share how you went from what you did before, so share that, and decided to be a life coach. Tell us more about your journey to that, Claudia.
Oh, Hilda, first of all, I would like to say thank you to have me come on this podcast. I'm really excited to be sharing it with you and even just talking more with you because we have met for a few times. So about me, I am actually still a radiation therapist. I haven't stopped working as a full-time radiation therapist. But what happened that led me to being a life coach was that after I got married, I started building a few businesses because I wanted to venture out there, but something was stopping me. I could get up to a certain point, but then it would just stop there. And I would jump because I would lose interest and I would jump. And looking back on those moments, I realized it was because I had so much trouble putting myself out there. Believe it or not. And I think for me, one of the things that I learned so much was being able to put myself out there through life coaching, and it built my own confidence. And so this is where I come in to help other people build their own confidence because there are just something within our internal mind that somehow stops us from shining.
I like
And
how you
that's
use that
all.
word shining because I use that word a lot myself.
Oh, I
What
love
do
that.
you think? Like, obviously, you've gone through some coaching, life coaching yourself. What do you think that roadblock was that prevented you? And now you found it through life coaching to put yourself out there to feel confident and more assured. What was that roadblock?
The roadblock is the fact that I was really scared to speak up, and the voice of criticism comes down to take all of that away, to say that I'm not good enough to put myself out there. Who do you think you are, Claudia? It's like, well, there are so many other people who are better than you, and so many people who are doing the same thing, and look how far they are. And who are you to do all of that? And it all, for me, stemmed from my mom. And it's like a constant um a mind training through while I was growing up. And it's not just my mom, it's also through societal conditioning, right? Because in the Hong Kong environment, I grew up in Hong Kong up till when I was 10, 11. A lot of the conditioning is that, well, it doesn't matter how much effort you put in, it doesn't matter how well you did, there are always other people who are better than you. So it's whatever effort that you put in is not enough. So it's always chasing for that good enough. And when it was time for me to say, hey, look at me, I am a calligrapher, I can teach you calligraphy. Hey, I am a engraver, I can offer engraving. That moment of speaking up, then all these internal voices are like, who do you think you are? And just collapse me down back into my original position. And so it was this fear of showing up because it didn't want to be criticized. It's this fear of showing up because if I did something that didn't live up to other people's expectation, I may get laughed at, people may turn their backs on me, right? And it was all of these things that I personally had to work through.
So thank you for sharing that. I mean, during Heritage Month, we've been talking to people about this kind of this cultural expectation that you can't ever get good enough. You have to work hard, and even when you work hard, you've got to work harder. And it does chip away at you if all your life you're being told that, yeah, you got to try harder, but there's other people greater than you, rather than
Mm.
uplifting our children. And this can happen in work too, rather than uplifting your staff. If you keep chipping away that they're not good enough and they just got to keep harder and harder because there are other people that are better than them, how will they feel better about themselves, right?
Yeah, and I think it's also the awareness piece, right? Because that is the water that we swim in, right?
Hmm.
Because kids, when we're growing up, each class is like 40 something students.
Yeah.
If you're not the first one, you're the last one, right? So it's this constant pushing. It's a unaware action that we are doing because we want to get into good schools. We want to get better opportunities. That's why right now, like parents are trying to push their kids to learn the hard words when they're in kindergarten, right? So it's all of these things that we're not aware yet. At the same time, it's like, I need to do this because my son, my daughter is not going to have a good opportunity if they fall behind, right? So it's like the phrase of like it's better to be on top of things instead of like catching up when you fall behind, right? So
So how did you overcome this?
it was through a lot of one of the things that I really learned is to learn to celebrate each of the actions that I take, separating out my feelings of hanging my happiness on the results, saying that, hey, I will only be happy when I get that new job position. Like instead of like being really aware of I'm hanging my happiness on that end result versus, hey, if I can scale it back, what can I do to get me to another spot? Maybe
Hmm.
today for the people who are out there who are looking for jobs, right? Looking for like maybe each week set a goal of looking for 5 jobs and applying for 2 and celebrate that action, something that we can control
Hmm.
versus, oh, I didn't get a yes again, right? Because that yes, we were so hung up on once I get that yes, I'll be happy. Really separating these two things out. And that was a lesson that I really had to keep reminding myself to change this habit of relying on the result and really just relying on my own effort and celebrate those things.
Do you find it easier to find more manageable successes? And, does it become a muscle that
Yeah,
just
it
gets
becomes a muscle.
stronger and
Yeah, what
stronger?
you said that manageable success is things that we can do versus the success that is defined by the outside,
Yeah.
by the external success, right? So the success that so it's like redefining what success mean,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like success means the actions that we can take, the effort that we can put in, and we celebrate those things versus the success of getting this new job title, making this amount of extra bonus money, right? So all of those external success, we cannot control those things,
Hmm.
but we can control. Oh, today, um, I put myself out there to like create my own video, right? You and I creating this podcast, it's a success. I
Right.
don't know how many people are going to listen to it or watch it, but it's a success on our end.
Right.
So really defining that. And it's hard in the beginning, Hilda. I'm going to tell you, like, because it's like I'm doing all this work, but I don't see results. And
Yeah.
there were so many times I had to really sit in with my disappointment because it is that muscle of, oh, I don't see
Yeah.
any results. So I'm so disappointed, and being okay with that disappointment. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. I think it's always when you feel good about your achievements, you do feel so much better. And I think it's so much harder to be positive than it is to be critical of yourself.
Mm,
Uh,
mm,
I I I had a coach where every Friday, as all the people in her coaching, we had a group as well. She would send an email and say on Friday, okay, identify 3 successes you had this week, and I started putting it in a Word document. And by the time I'd done 3 years, I had like pages and pages of these successes, and it makes you feel good. And then to know that I had pages and pages of that. So I still do that. I write down at the end of the day, I write down 3 things that went
mm,
well. And
mm.
it makes me feel good. It makes me reflect
Yeah.
on the good rather than the bad.
Yeah, that
And
too.
because I went away on vacation, I came back, I got busy. I looked at the date and I said, wow. Like it had been about 4 weeks since I last put any of my journaling in the book. So I started a couple of nights ago, and it feels good again to do that. And I'd forgotten. So thank you for
Yeah.
reminding us. Um, you then decided to become a life coach. Tell us about why did you choose? And I think you hinted at engraving and calligraphy as 2 of the businesses you tried to launch, and now you've
Mhm.
launched this life coaching business. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, in terms of the life coaching, it is about working with the mindset and our body feelings, working to change our belief system to go from, oh, I cannot do that, to I can do that. It's such a switch. Yeah, it was so satisfying for me to say, hey, before like 2 years ago, I thought that I couldn't do it. And now look at me. I actually believe I can do it. And that is so satisfying for me. And I could see that because of how we had grew up and we had all of these beliefs that we kept thinking and thinking that we made it true, and how to get from that point to, and feeling stuck to seeing a new potential, to seeing, hey, what is possible for me? What else is possible for me? What else can I do and try? Finding that joy, finding that light back into saying, hey, now I can actually help people do that. And it was really over the moon. And I think one of the things I love the most about coaching, especially the coaches that I work with, is the idea that they hold a very open space for me, like a non judgmental space for me to be in any feelings that I'm feeling at the moment. There were so many times I was disappointed in myself. There were so many times I was criticizing myself, and they were just allowing me to admit, being able to admit all of these things, saying them out loud.
Mhm.
And it's so free without needing to change me at the moment, just being able to admit to see where I am. And that in itself was really life changing for me because I had um, business coaching before, where when I show up, I felt like the coach just wanted me to change right away. Why am I not showing results? Why am I not doing all these actions? And so each time I go into a coaching session, I was in a panic mode to kind of search through my brain to say, what did I do that I could verbally tell her that I have achieved something, right? All of that judgment. And when I wasn't in the session, I was just like not doing anything. I couldn't get myself to do something. And that realization of needing that free space to allow myself to admit where I am without being judged, to say, hey, Claudia, right now, right now, I haven't done my work. I couldn't show up and I'm really disappointed. And once I process the emotion, why is it that has stopped me? So we can explore all of these things. It's like so freeing because I can be me. When I can be me in my own mind, in my own heart, then that's when I can say, hey, Hilda, this is where I am at. This is where I can share my own stories with the world. Because if I can't even admit to myself how, like, how I'm feeling, I can't admit it to other people because I'll feel like inside I'm so disappointed, but I have to put on this face, which is like a hypocrisy face.
And in
The mask
Chinese,
that
we
we
call
put
it
on.
save face, right? You
Yeah,
always
I
have
say,
to save
yeah,
face
yeah,
and
right. It's
show the
this,
world the save
yeah,
face thing.
everything is good. I have everything under control. You know, I am on top of everything, but inside, I'm like breaking down, like everything is a mess, right? So being allowed to admit that was so important to me, and so that's why I transitioned into a coach because I realized how powerful the space is
Thank you.
for
Thank you
me
for
and for
sharing
other
that.
people.
And I love how when you were talking about the business coaches you had to help you with those businesses that you had tried before, you distinguished almost the difference between a life coach and a business coach. The business coach was trying to help you succeed in your business. So they
Mhm.
were focused more on deliverables and
Yeah,
actions that would help
yeah,
you generate more revenue or more market or sales or better organization.
mhm,
Whereas a life coach looks at you and your inner core and
mhm.
helps you gain the confidence that you need to deliver whatever you need, right?
Yeah.
So I could hear that
Yeah.
distinction.
And
And when
Hilda, I want to add something. And
sure.
I don't want to say like all business coaches are like that. I'm sure there are a
Mm,
lot of business coaches actually work with you to see what's going on. But there are like even do you know what? And I don't want to say all life coaches are like me because there are so many different
yep,
coaches
yep,
with different personalities. But I do want to agree with you there. Like with business coaching, they want results. They want results as in if the clients win, then it affirms their ability, right?
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
kind of like that external
Mhm.
result. Once again, is that hanging on to the result to prove your worth instead of working along with you
Mm,
to say, hey, what's really going on? And I want to distinguish that because for the people who are listening to this podcast, I'm sure a lot of your people really want to move ahead, want to see results, and they sometimes search for coaches that tell them, oh, this is the method that you can follow and you can succeed.
yeah.
But a lot of times, what works for someone else may not work for you. So sometimes you really have to go back into your body to say, hey, is it working for me? And if not, don't beat yourself up over it. Look for someone else that will work best for you.
And I think that gets into the whole idea of coaching is helping you to find something you need. For some
Mm,
people, it's really discovery and self confidence. For others, it is, I want to get past the ceiling of, X dollars. I want to push past that. So they do need somebody with process issues to help them.
mm,
I
mm,
remember my coach, and she kept growing and I kept growing, and what she was delivering, I needed. So each year I continued to renew it. But your coach isn't the same coach always because your needs may change. And I remember at one point she was advertising that she wanted to help people make, six figures or seven figures. And she says, Hilda, that's, I know you enjoy our sessions and the group sessions, but you're not here like some people are here to make that monetary gain. That's not you. You're here because you want to help other people. And I said, yeah, you got me. You got me. And I think that's distinction is find a coach that fits your needs. And that same coach may be good for 1 year, could be good for 5 years, but your needs may change. And what that particular person does now isn't what you need at that point. So people need to feel free to go and focus on that. Now, you decided to deal with clients who are mainly Asian women. Do you want to talk a little bit more why you chose that population, Asian and women, as your ideal clients?
Yeah, for sure. Because I think being Chinese, having been born in Hong Kong and have been living there for 10 years, it really opened my eyes when I came over here to Canada. And it was a whole new set of struggles that I had to overcome in terms of my own identity, following my parents' cultural expectations. And it's the it's the idea that in the Chinese culture, you always have to respect your elders and you respect them by following what they say. If they tell you to do this, then you do it. Because if not, then you are being not loyal to them or not. It's like um, what's the word? Like not filial piety, like all of those things,
Filial
right?
piety, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I see how much of the Chinese culture has shaped me in the Canadian setting.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we are in a way still being being um being structured, be like we are defined by some of this definition, like being Chinese, being Asian. We carry a lot of that from our parents, from our ancestors, from all the trauma that we had carried from the roots. And for us to stand out in the Western culture, where a lot of times you need to speak up, you need to show, to connect with other people, you need to go and socialize in order for you to climb the ladder, all of those things. And I just see so many of us just go, whoop. We go back into our little home. We go home. We don't actually go out to socialize or have drinks with people, right? It's this part that is like we are so smart, yet we're just being held back by all of these beliefs that we had. Sometimes we may believe that we are not good at speaking. Sometimes because of our language, we believe that we don't have what it takes to communicate with other people. And it's like, so if I'm not being good at speaking and conversation, then I feel like my work is just enough to show. But when you're not speaking, your skills can be up here, but if you're not communicating it, people are only going to think that you're only so good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I wanted people, especially Asian women, to get connected back to the confidence to say, hey, when you believe that I'm not good enough, it's just a sentence that you've been practicing for a long time. It's
Yeah.
not true. Let's change that so that you can show up, so that you can share with other people how good you are. And
Yeah.
when you can actually say that, then people will see you in a different light. And that's when they're like, oh, Hilda, I can hire you to do this job. Oh, Hilda, I just told someone about you because you have been showing up, right? So like that's why I want to do that.
It's really helping people to shine. And I'm what is called a hashtag I am remarkable facilitator.
Hmm.
And this isn't just unique to Asian
Oh
women.
yeah.
And it's not unique to women. It's very present in underrepresented communities, whether by ethnicity, by female, by race, even the LGBTQ. And in the hashtag I'm Remarkable movement, we teach people to self-promote, to be confident in who they are, and to speak up. And one of the key slides in the presentations that we as facilitators do, it says, it's not bragging if it's fact. So that we need to speak up for ourselves and not feel like, oh, societally that sounds like I'm bragging and I shouldn't be boasting like that. So
yeah. And I want to because you asked me why specifically Asian women. And the truth is like Asian women is special, especially like in my interest because I knew how much family and even the Chinese culture puts women in a special spot.
Yes.
Right? Like when you're looking back like 50 years or 60 years or 100 years, women are not allowed to show up. Like they are not even allowed to look at the guy that they are supposed to marry. They have to hide behind the door to take a peek to see how he looks like. And when they get married, they are like they are veiled, right? They don't see the other person until the very end. So compared to, for example, like Black women, right? I'm sure like not every case, but they have been encouraged the kids to show up, say things out loud, right? And all of these things like speak up, be loud. That's kind of their whole and I know I'm kind of stereotypical kind of putting them in one light, but when you think of them, they have the ability to speak up because it's more of an encouraged action.
Yeah. So
Asian women, it's not, right?
You relate to other Asian women, and they too will say, I see how Claudia is. She's so confident. She knows where I am, and she can help uplift me to be like her. So
yeah,
I
because I
get that.
was there. Yeah, because I was there, and now I'm the example to say, hey, you can do that too. And that's why I resonate with Asian women, my niche.
So
Yeah.
share some tips or strategies that you have that would help other Asian women or women in general, because I'm sure other women are saying, I feel that too. It's not just her. I feel that too, and I'm not Asian, right? What kind of tips and strategies would you share?
So one of the things that really blew my mind was this realization that our beliefs is on a scale. What does that mean? So for example, if let's say, okay, Hilda and I are going to go onto this podcast. Let's say maybe, I don't know, a year ago, right? If let's say Hilda was to ask me a year ago, hey, Claudia, do you want to go onto this podcast? I would be like, no, I cannot do that. Right. And then I would just be stuck in, I cannot do that. Like, what am I going to say? Who's going to listen to me? But when I was on a coaching session with one of my coaches, I realized it's actually on a spectrum. I can't do that today. Maybe I believe 20% closer to I cannot do that. But when I put it on a spectrum, on the 100% is I can do it.
Yeah.
So when I actually saw that, oh my gosh, it's a spectrum. Today, I could tip myself a little bit so that I can slide a little bit closer to the I can do it. And then maybe tomorrow I will feel a little bit worse and I'll be like, I cannot do that. But it's on a scale. And when I realized this, it blew my mind because at first when I saw thoughts or our beliefs, I thought it was like a 1 point and you jump to the next and you jump to the next. So it's very incongruent. So it's like, oh, today I feel so bad. I don't believe in myself. How can I make it so that I believe in myself? It's like a big jump, right? First, I was like, oh, I can just tilt it a little bit to say, what can I do to make myself feel like I can do it, right? So that in itself was so mind blowing to me. So if
it's like the
you
steps
realize,
you have behind you. Like
Yeah,
the
but
analogy, you can't
it's
take
like
it
it's not
one
a
step at a
step.
time.
It's like a slide. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
a slide.
yeah.
And the slide is like so smooth today. I just need a little bit to tilt myself this way. I don't have to have a lot of effort. I just have to tilt a little bit. And that makes it a lot easier to change my belief.
That's a great insight. I'm comparing it to when I was younger and I started teaching. I wanted to teach and I started teaching. And I remember the first time I taught to a group of nursing staff, 7 of them. I was worried about it beforehand. My heart's palpating as I'm talking. And then, months later, anytime I go up and talk to them, no problem. No
Mhm.
problem. It felt
Yeah.
comfortable. But then they'd
Mhm.
say, "Oh, Hilda, can you do this presentation? There's 25 people." Da, 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 da. And so same feelings, heart palpating. And then when I got to my first international conference, it was like again my heart palpating. But if you said to me, 2 years before, Hilda, we want you to speak at this conference for 100 people or 1,000 people, I would say no, right? But as you build confidence, I can do this. I can do
Mhm.
this. I can do this. And
Yeah.
then that same level of comfort and confidence happens with more opportunities,
Mhm,
difficult
mhm. And
opportunities.
I think, Hilda, what you touch upon is taking that small action,
Yeah.
taking that small action to say yes, because it's like, oh, I'm so scared, but just that little action will move you along. So it's kind of like that tilting the scale. It's like just that little action. What can you do and not expect so much? Like, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier, not the result. You know what? Maybe today the presentation is the students or the nurses did not get this concept clearly, and it's okay. I can just maybe if they can come to me and I can explain it to them again. But knowing that I messed up and it's still okay, but it's not the result, external result. It's that I showed up
Yeah.
and celebrate all of that. It's like pat ourselves on the back to
Yeah,
say,
so many
hey.
little nuggets that you're sharing to help people just try and
Mhm.
gain that confidence and you can do it. You really can do it. I remember back earlier when you talked about you light up and literally your face lit up, your eyes just sparkled because you're doing something you're passionate about.
Mhm.
Can you share with us now a moment that you felt really was a key moment, a defining moment in your life that has shaped who you are today?
Yeah, Hilda. So, looking back from all the things that I've done, the defining moment was when, because when I was dating my now husband, my parents were not
The handsome one, right?
the
The handsome
handsome
one.
one. We were not on good terms with my parents
Mm,
because my parents didn't want me to date this person. They didn't want me to get married to this person. So for over a few years, we
mm,
were just constantly fighting. And then at one point, I just had to decide that even if they are going to turn their backs on me, I'm still going to go ahead with it. And this moment, looking back, was what started all of the things that I was doing. Knowing that I will go on to do what I want, even when other people don't support me, was so huge. A lot of times when I work with my clients, usually they are scared of how other people, especially the loved ones, how they're going to react to
yeah,
them.
yeah,
And they are so concerned about their reactions that they hold themselves back. So then they put on this mask. When they get asked to do things that they don't want to, they do it anyways. When they treat them inappropriately, disrespectfully, and they still put up with it because they couldn't get themselves to speak up because they were so scared of how their loved ones or the people in their lives are going to react to them. And once I was able to say, hey, I'm just going to try it anyways. Who cares what my mom's going to say? Who cares what my friends are going to say? Then that's when I was able to show up more, trying more things because I have to hold my own happiness. I'm responsible for my own happiness. And knowing that in itself was so freeing for me. And at the same time, is also working on my internal safety mechanism because a lot of times it's not what they say, it's what I say to myself. So I also have to work on my own internal mechanism to say, hey, I know it's coming up, but I'm going to do it anyways. So that in itself helped me so much in going to the next step and the next step and the next step.
It sounds to me like, you made a great choice, and that your husband is a supporter and a nurturer of your growth. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. He's like, if you need any time that you need to do your work, I'll take care of our son. You just do your own work. This is what he always says to me. It's like, you don't feel you have time. Okay, what else can I help you with? You go do your own work.
And that's a confidence booster in itself, I'm sure. I'm
Mhm,
sure.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
Have there been other like moments in your life where you felt you really were struggling to break a barrier, to move forward to the new Claudia, the confident Claudia?
Oh my gosh, Hilda. Okay. So I'm going to share this with you. So I actually spoke in Paris last October. It was my first time speaking live. And midway through, I forgot what I was going to say. I like blanked out. And I recovered, like I was able to recover. I ended the session. Everyone was like giving me standing ovation, which I was so excited about. But right after, I was so disappointed in myself. And I realized that I wanted to nail that speech because I wanted my speaking coach to be proud of me, like I wanted my mom to be proud of me. That was my realization. And I was crying in the hotel. I was like, I'm so disappointed in myself. I wish I could have nailed it. But once I realized that I wanted to nail it because I wanted to impress my speaking coach, like I wanted to impress my mom, that's when I realized, hey, I failed, but I got my back. I'm so proud of myself for standing out there to like try to like recover. And I am so proud of myself. Doesn't matter what everyone says. And I gave myself so much self love that that was
Yay.
another moment that was like, I can do anything. I can fall flat on my face and I can do anything.
Well, it is hard to recover when you're frozen in front of a screen. So, yes, kudos to you for recognizing
Not in front of a
positive.
screen, Hilda. There were people in
Sorry.
front of
Yes.
me.
Literally live. Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
stories of another person's event in October. So it, but you know they might not have even known that you were frozen. I don't know if how long your froze was for.
I
But,
froze for a good 3-4 minutes.
oh, okay, fine. That
Yeah,
that would
I
seem like an
literally
eternity.
forgot. That seemed like, oh, maybe you know what? It could have been just a minute or two, but that felt like an eternity. And so
Mhm.
funny. At one point, my mind actually thought, is it possible for me to go to my seat to look at my notes? And then I realized, no, I can't, I couldn't because I'm filming myself with my phone.
But
But yeah, it was like a moment that I realized how much I want to do things because I want to prove my worth.
mhm.
And when I see that I can actually have my own back, I don't need anyone's approval. I don't need anyone to say, hey, Claudia, what a great job you've done. I can say it to myself. That moment in itself was like, whoa.
What a powerful, powerful share. Because some people wouldn't want to share that with the
Oh
world
my
that
gosh.
that happened. But I think you're telling us these stories really, I hope, resonate with people to say, I can do that. I need to be more positive. I need to be more reflective of my life and see the good and the accomplishments that I have. And my Rev Up concept helps people to recognize who they are. And you've been sharing that all, during this conversation, is that we need to believe in ourselves and to share our successes and not make them seem like they have to be a big success and it'll take years for one success, is to share the little successes and feel so good about them. So
Yeah. And a lot of people, like even the success is just to get out of bed
yes,
or
yep,
even take a shower,
yes. For
right?
them, that is an effort that is greater and worthy of being called a success,
Yeah.
really,
Need
particularly when
all of
they are
those.
struggling, mental health challenges. And I was talking to somebody today and they say during this COVID, so many people have been affected. Their mental health has been affected this
Mm.
period that we've had.
Yeah, it was so tough for a lot of people.
Yeah. I know we could talk all day,
Oh,
but I want to, respect our time together. And wondering if you can just tell us what's happening next for you. What's up next?
ooh. What's up next for me is on June 27th, I have applied for a speaking competition and it's called Speaker Slam. So along with me, there will be 9 other people who will be competing to get to be the winner. So, but I'm more of there to just show up for my people to say, hey, because actually I knew about Speaker Slam a few years ago because a few of my friends had spoken in the event, and at that moment I felt like I could never speak on that. And it was just recently when I revisited Speaker Slam, my mind actually thought, oh, I have a lot. Like I could speak on this. And just that realization of like, wow, look how much my brain has changed. That in itself was huge. And the topic is called personal transformation. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to speak on this, representing an Asian woman being out there to show herself to say, hey, if I can do it, you can just try and you can do it too.
Well, kudos to you for making this leap to do this speaker slam and show what you are capable of and what others can be. What a role model to share. So thank you very much. How do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I'm usually on Facebook and Instagram, so you can search for me on claudiachan.co, ClaudiaChan.co. So both on my Facebook and for my Instagram and even my website is all of that. So yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us today and sharing so much of your journey that will help empower us as Asian women or other underrepresented communities to stand up and own ourselves and be confident in who we are. Thank you
Uh,
very much, Claudia.
and thank you, Hilda, for doing all this to just share our stories with all the people who needs this. And I know it's a lot of your work and your effort and energy, and you're doing an amazing job bringing other people's confidence, be more themselves. And thank you so much to Hilda.
Oh, you're welcome. I've enjoyed our conversation. Thanks, Claudia.
Yay!
Yay. And thanks to those of you who are listening or viewing the YouTube. Feel free to subscribe to the Rev Up Your Potential podcast, like this, and join us for another episode. Thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in to Rev Up Your Potential with Hilda Gann. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube and Spotify to stay up to date on our latest episodes. For HR tips, news, and strategies, or if you're interested in being a guest on our podcast, visit our website at peoplebrightconsulting.com.